Hello and welcome to another AIC video. Today I wanted to talk about EDC, or everyday carry guns. If you've been a part of my channel for any length of time, you know that I'm a gun owner. And like any other tool, a gun, if you don't have it with you when you need it, doesn't do you any good. The whole point of having a gun is for personal protection, at least for me in a lot of ways. There are some fun aspects of doing competition shooting, things like that, but the main purpose of having a gun is for personal protection, and it doesn't do you any good unless you have it with you in your time of need. And whenever I leave the house, just about every single time, I have a gun on me. And these are my two main carry guns, either my Rock Island 1911 or my Taurus G2C. Both of these have proven to be very reliable guns for me. I take them to the range regularly and practice and function test them and do all the things that you need to make sure that they cycle and work the way I expect them to, so that in my time of need I can rely on them. But if you notice, I did say in there just about. I don't bring a gun with me every time I leave the house, and that's been a problem for me. For the last year or so with COVID, I've been working out of my house and I simply haven't gone anywhere. And so previously I'd owned, and I've done a video on it, a Ruger LCP, little purple gun. And I liked it. It was an okay gun, but it wasn't my first choice in a carry gun. And I didn't feel the need to keep it. I was struggling to find ammo during the pandemic. And so I went ahead and sold it, because anywhere I went to, I could wear clothing. I could choose to wear clothing that would conceal my my firearm. But now that COVID restrictions have lifted and we're going back to more normal life, in a lot of ways I'm actually going back and doing more activities than I was doing even before COVID. And I find myself in situations where I can't necessarily conceal carry this particular gun when with the clothing that I'm required to wear. I won't go into details, but some places I go require a uniform, things like that, and so it just makes it harder to conceal carry this gun. Or if I'm moving around a lot more, things like that, it makes it harder. And so I wanted to go back to having a gun with me that I could have, regardless of the clothes I'm wearing, of the situation I'm in, where I could conceal carry that. Because the biggest problem with concealed carry isn't the gun, it's other people's fear. They'll see that gun and freak out. As you can see, all three of these guns here, they have no magazines in them. The slides are locked back. As is, short of me chucking this at you, you're in no danger of being injured from one of these firearms. It just isn't possible for this gun to shoot a round that's not in it at you at this point. But love her to death, my own mother would see this and be terrified that these guns would, of their own volition, stand up and start blasting. And a lot of people feel that way. Just the sight of a gun. The media has put so much fear into people that the mere image of a gun causes them to fear. When in fact, if you see a normal everyday person concealed carrying or even open carrying a gun, that's probably one of the safest people you'll know, in general. I know where I live, there's millions and millions of guns and hundreds of thousands of people with concealed permits, and they're not the people who are going around causing problems. They just aren't. They're the person who's more than likely going to stop the bad guy. I think the statistic is between 500,000 and 3 million violent crimes are stopped with a firearm per the FBI every single year. That's 100 times more than are actually committed. That low number of 500,000 is far more than actual committed crimes with a firearm. So anyways, I wanted to go over what I picked and why I picked it. So you can see here the different ammo I have on the table. This is a 45 for my 1911. This is a 9mm for my G2C. And instead of what you would expect for an LCP2, This is not a 380. It's a 22 long rifle caliber. And this gun does come in both calibers, 380 ACP as well as 22 long rifle. I specifically picked the 22 caliber because I already have many rounds and kinds of 22 ammo. It's because I already had the ammo. Going out now, today, in today's market and situation, and finding 380 ammo is nearly impossible to find any quantity of any particular type, brand, whatever. I mean, that's the whole reason why I sold my last one is every box of ammo I got was different. And so my consistency wasn't very good with it. It's one of the things you want is a consistent gun, something you can expect out of it. And so this is just some bulk Federal because that box is already open. I'm going to be testing several different kinds of ammo. I have some CCI mini mags, I have some CCI standard velocity, I have a couple different Federals, and Aguila. I have 1,000 rounds of Aguila, high velocity, things like that. So I'm going to be testing some different ammo through it. But so I haven't fired it yet, so I'm not carrying this. This isn't my everyday carry today because I haven't fired it. You shouldn't, even though I know Ruger makes an excellent product, I want to make sure that I'm familiar and fire this gun before I actually start trusting my life to it. It won't be my absolute everyday carry. My G2C will continue to be my main carry gun. But this will fill in those times where I normally wouldn't be able to bring my G2C because of just its size difference. So let's go ahead and go over some of the differences between these two guns. I'll go drop the slide just so I can more easily demonstrate the guns. So first and foremost, the biggest difference between the two is the size. I mean, just look how much smaller these firearms are. It's massive, and it really makes a difference when you're trying to carry the gun and how you carry the gun. So this is my typical holster. It's an end waistband, so it goes, in my pants, I guess you could say. I prefer this because the leather is much more comfortable for me. I'm a bit of a fatty, and so it doesn't dig into me at all. But it doesn't lose its shape when I pull the gun out, if I ever do. So I can get it back into the holster easily without issue. Some leather holster I've had is when you pull the gun out, especially if it's in waistband, then it gets squished and it's hard to get the gun back in. Not a problem with this. Again, my preferred. I'll put a link to these in the description. They're like 30-ish bucks depending on what model it's for on Amazon. So besides the major size difference, a couple other differences. The magazine has a couple less rounds. So this holds 12 rounds, this holds 10 rounds. For an everyday carry, I don't think it's that big a deal. The normal LCP2 in 380 only carries, I believe, 6 rounds. So I think that's enough rounds for a situation that you're going to be in. You're not going to be doing competition shooting with this where you're going to be shooting 30, 40, 50 rounds at a time in a competition. So you're going to need what you need, and that's probably all you're going to need. And I think 10 rounds is plenty sufficient for that. The trigger on this is significantly better than on the original LCP. Kind of a little funny foible on it. When you have the safety engaged, let me rack it. It has a magazine disconnect, so the trigger won't fire if you don't have the magazine in. Some people really don't like that. For me, it's neither here nor there. It's just I can't show you what I want to show you without the magazine in. So I have the safety engaged, and it disconnects the trigger completely. So when you have the safety engaged, and this does have that manual safety, trigger does nothing. It's not connected to anything. As soon as you disengage the safety, you can see I can only pull the trigger back about 2/3 of the way before it engages and clicks. With the safety engaged, it goes all the way back to the stop. Nothing preventing it from doing that. I do like that. If you're going to have a manual safety, it means that you're not going to accidentally catch something on here in your pocket and shoot yourself in the leg. So I do appreciate that. The manual safety is a bit weird though, because on these other two, the safety is a sweep, either up for safe, down for fire. Same with the 1911. Sorry, I'm trying to do this backwards. Sweep up for safe, sweep down to fire. This is a push forward. So that, if you're planning on buying this, that will take a little bit of extra training. When I first got it and was practicing with it, I was sweeping down instead of pushing forward. Not a big adjustment, unlike my Walther P22, where it's up is fire and down is safe. I keep putting that in the wrong mode because I've trained so much. That is an issue for me, where I will sweep it to put it into fire as I go to grab the gun, and it will put it into safe. So, or it will keep it in safe because it will usually already be there. And then it takes my brain a second to realize that I can't fire the gun. One thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about is the finish on the slide. So it's just blued steel, and it's okay. It's a little uneven. It's a little weird. I may go in and get this Cerakoted just so it's a little bit nicer looking. Maybe not worry about rust. The slide on my G2C is also just blued. It's not parkerized or anything. It's just blued, but it's a much more even finish, and it was a cheaper gun. So it kind of makes me a little bit disappointed that Ruger doesn't have this process down to where it's at least an even coat. It's quite, especially along here, it's lighter in the corners and darker kind of in between. You know, if like they were wiping it with a rag or something, where the rag would hit it better, a little bit darker. So there's that. Sights aren't adjustable, but again, this is a pocket gun, quote unquote a belly gun. So if you ever have to use this, you're not going to be that far away from your opponent. So it's not something that you're going to have to worry about as far as accuracy too much. I am going to practice with this, get proficient. The overall size of the gun, I can definitely get a couple fingers on there is all. But with it being just 22 long rifle, I do not expect that to be an issue at all. With my LCP, my original, I got an extension for the magazine so I could fit 3 fingers on there. I'm probably not going to do that with this. We'll see after I fire it and make that decision, but I don't feel like I'm going to have to. The texture on the grip is a lot more aggressive on the G2C, and I really like it on here. It's not uncomfortable, but it feels actually really good in your hand, really secure. This texture, again, I haven't fired it, but it's barely there. But I don't think it'll be an issue, again, because I'm firing just a 22 out of here. If I was firing a 380, I'd probably be a little bit more thoughtful of that, but again, we'll see. I haven't shot a 380 LCP2. I did shoot my 380 LCP, and its texture wasn't any better than this, so probably be fine. It's just I like this better. But yeah, that's about it for right now. I'm really looking forward to having this as a carry gun. This is the holster it comes with. I did pick up my favorite kind for an end waistband, but this will probably be the holster I use the most because it's a pocket gun. I'm going to be carrying it in my pocket, and so I may look up a slightly different holster, because when you use this, it still kind of looks like a gun in your pocket. You can still see this, at least for me. So I may get something that is a little bit thicker here or something that kind of hides this profile just a little bit better. We'll see what options are available to me. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or questions, comments, leave that down in the comment section below. I know I haven't shot the gun yet. I always get criticized when I do this kind of thing without firing the gun yet, but I'll be doing a follow-up if you want me to. Comment below what you want to see as far as a follow-up of actually firing ammo out of this, and what you'd like to see from that, and I'll do my best to accommodate. Obviously, ammo being what it is, I kind of have to be stuck with what I currently have ammo-wise. So, but I'll definitely do my best to answer any questions you might have. Loading the magazine, I'll go over that as well, because that's a little bit of an issue. It's not an issue, but there's some caveats to loading that magazine. So yeah, anyways, thank you again for watching. And I hope you have an amazing day.